You know this is true. Trumpet players are the problem. And I don't mean trumpet players are a problem for the world. We are our own problem. I play trumpet and I do things that create my own problems, and you guys do too. So this title may seem really harsh, but I really want to talk about this because I have a couple situations I want to explore with you that relate directly to where we are in our performance, where we want to be, and why there's almost always a disconnect. You want to be here, but you're there, and you can't get disconnected. And this is the stuff that I believe some of the best teachers I've ever had have brought up with me. They've said, oh, Jason, you know, your issue is you haven't figured this out. Or your issue is that you think you understand how to do it, and you really don't. And those people really helped me stretch a lot. One of them was my own dad. So my dad taught me how to fix cars. He was an auto mechanic. Or actually, he was a diesel mechanic, but it really means he could do all of it. And he did many other things. You know, when he was in Vietnam, he was an underwater scuba welder, and he learned how to solve really complex problems. And I was really lucky to be brought up by someone who really challenged me to solve mechanical and physical problems. Of course, my mom did a lot of great things to help me as a human too, but focused on what my dad did in terms of helping me understand the world around me. When I was in high school and it was time for me to get a car, my dad suggested I buy a vehicle that doesn't run, and that's what I did. So I bought this vehicle that didn't even run, and he basically said, now you need to go fix it. And that's probably counterintuitive and seems to some of you maybe even cruel, but I think it was probably a great lesson. And if I had kids today, I'd probably do the exact same thing. Because I learned so much from fixing that car myself. But let's back up for a second. This video is all about how trumpet players are the problem. And what I really mean is each of us as individuals, we prevent ourselves from going from here to there. We prevent ourselves from getting better at things. And we have to find ways to break ourselves out of our way of thinking, because humans want to be comfortable. You want to wake up every morning and feel like everything is understandable and there's nothing that's really going to over-challenge you. However, challenging yourself is the best way to learn. So what my dad did was he told me, you can fix this car, and he would sit in his chair and watch television, and I'd say, well, how do I fix it? And he'd say, I don't know, you need to figure out what's wrong with it. So I'd go troubleshoot the car. I didn't know what was wrong with it. And eventually I'd come in and ask him a question, and he'd say, well, you know, did you check this or did you check that? He'd give me little hints, right? And he'd say things I didn't even know what I was looking for. And when I finally figured out what the problem was, then instead of him going out there and grabbing wrenches and showing me how to do it, he would say, well, have you taken off the whatever? Or have you loosened this bolt? He really didn't give me a step-by-step process. Instead, he let me discover what was in front of me and learn it for myself. And that's really important. If you buy an etude book or a trumpet method book and it says do these things, then the odds of you really discovering why those are important is fairly low, because you're just doing what you're told. And that's one of the problems with, you know, the institutionalized education system, is unless your teachers, your educators, and your mentors are really challenging you to figure out how things work, you may just be going through you know, all the steps and thinking you're going to be great at something. And that happens to trumpet players too. It happens in every walk of life. So I did fix the car. I did figure it out. Eventually I got so good at fixing cars, I flipped them. I would buy cars that didn't run, and then I'd sell them, and that's how I paid to go to college. It's one of the ways. I did other things too, like build trumpets. So getting back to, you know, why trumpet players are the problem. Think of this. You've pretty much been playing for however many years, and you have a good idea of how everything works, and you still have this disconnect between where you are now and where you want to be. You wish you could be that superstar trumpet player that you heard at the ITG conference or on a YouTube video or wherever it was. And however, for some reason or another, you have this disconnect. You really haven't figured it all out. Well, it isn't because you didn't try hard enough. Although, for some of you, maybe that's true. Maybe that wasn't your goal. But a lot of you, you put in so many hours, and you think to yourself, all right, I put in all my time, I really know what I'm doing, And that disconnect more and more becomes this mysterious thing that we kind of just push off to the side. We do that because we don't want to feel inadequate when we're doing with what we're doing, especially if you're doing it professionally. You also really don't understand how to break out of that habit. So how does that happen? Why does that happen? And how can we solve those problems? Well, for me personally, every time I've gotten stuck with something, I thought I knew the right answer, I discovered somebody could do it better, they could do it faster, they could do it easier. And the best way I learned to really improve myself in terms of what I do, and remember, I'm primarily a trumpet manufacturer and a product developer. I make other products, and I do play trumpet quite a bit. But for me personally, the challenges that I've seen are in manufacturing trumpets they've broken the mold, they're outside of what a normal trumpet would be, and then also getting this technology into the hands of as many people as possible without having to spend all my time in the shop. So my goals are different than most business owners. My goals are to build enough trumpets and help enough people to feel like I'm valuable to you and I can help you and learn from you, and also to have that work-life balance where I can go out and climb mountains or go skiing or hiking or traveling or spend time at home even cooking, which is something I'd like to do more. So I don't want to be that guy that makes, tens of millions of dollars and sells his business to somebody else and retires on an island. That's not my thing. For me, I just really, truly enjoy working with each and every one of you, and I want to help you. And this video stems from a few different interactions I've had recently over the last year. One of them was actually earlier this week. We had a gentleman who flew in from halfway around the world. It took him 24 hours to fly here. And he came in very excited because he knew he was going to find the trumpet and the mouthpiece that was going to fit him perfectly. And I don't know how this gentleman found us, but it wasn't by the regular channels. Most people that walk in through the door, they already know enough about me and our process to know that we're not selling trumpets, we're actually selling solutions. We're offering you a way to break the paradigm, to throw out your biases and try something new with an open mind. And this man did not understand that at all. And it could have been partially just his career and his upbringing, because he was a surgeon and he was probably held in very high regard and probably told a lot of times that he really knew what was up. But it's really important for all of us to remain humble and to learn from others. So this person came in and he knew exactly what he wanted. He told me he was having all these issues with brand X trumpet. It was a nice custom trumpet that was built for him. All kinds of issues with the mouthpieces he's tried from different makers that you've all heard of. And he was saying, I know I'm going to find what I need here because you have it. However, he was surprised to see that we only had like 4 or 5 trumpets on the wall. I specifically built a trumpet for him for his visit. And the idea was, based on everything he had told me, was that this trumpet would probably fit what he needs. So unfortunately, I discovered in the first hour that what he really needed wasn't so much a trumpet, although a trumpet was something he needed, and a mouthpiece, a different mouthpiece. But more than those two things, he really needed help with his embouchure and his aperture control techniques, and even like awareness of the embouchure and aperture control techniques. He needed really more fundamental work. And when that happens, I try to switch to, let's look at how we can improve your approach and help better understand how to use aperture control and your embouchure so that you can produce all the pitches with a nice, beautiful sound, the kind of sound you want to create, and with endurance. And he had very serious struggles with all these things. In the first day of working with him, I spent about 4 hours listening to him and helping him work through things. When I would hand him something to try to discover what may or may not work and go through the process we normally do, which is essentially try something close to what they've been using and then observe what's happening, do a little interview, find out if it feels good, what could we improve, just understand what's happening, and then make changes to that. When we started that process, he was absolutely 100% not interested in going through the process to really assess where he is and what he needs. And without that assessment, then there's not much we can do. So I tried numerous ways to make that happen, because I can only help you if you let me help. And we failed Every time we tried, he would say, no, I won't try that. I won't play that. And he was very, very standoffish about anything that was different from what he said he wanted. And this is very interesting because he walked in having very serious performance problems with equipment that was very much mismatched. Like, this equipment was massive. It was so huge. And for someone who's in their mid-70s, even someone who's in their 20s would have serious issues with some of this equipment because it was too big. Like, the throats on these mouthpieces were, approaching 1/4 of an inch in diameter. And that's very specialized stuff. So I digress, but my whole point is, because he had these biases and he had this idea that he knew what he wanted, he didn't want any information or knowledge or wisdom from us. And I thought, well, maybe it's me. Maybe it's my style or the way I'm working with him. So on day 2, I had Christine work with him. And unfortunately, he didn't let Christine help him at all either. And he walked out of here with nothing. He literally did not find any solutions. He bought one of our mouthpieces that was the exact same setup and had the same problems as the one he brought in. And he didn't buy an instrument. He left with the one he started with. And I say all that, I'm not saying all of you are like that. Most of you are not like that. However, we have a little bit of that in us. We all do, because we want to resist change. We resist it because we know how to do things on our instrument. We know it's working to this level. And we don't know that if we let go of some of that stuff and come down here for a little bit, a few minutes or a few days or a few weeks, we might actually raise the bar and be at a new level. Most of us, that's counterintuitive, and that's just how humans are, right? Most of us don't have that. I've been lucky enough to have enough memory loss to forget how that works, so I feel like I'm usually more open to more ideas. And I'm also, I believe, just more excited about all the different things that are happening, So, and I mean like the things that other people are making. If somebody brings in a cool new Lotus trumpet or a different version of a Monet or the new Getzen limited edition, whatever it might be, I can't wait to try it. I'm excited about all of this stuff. It's not just my stuff. So for me, I maybe have too open of a mind, and some of you have seen that. I try too many things. I have so many ideas, but I'm really trying to narrow it down to the things that help you. So, are you the problem? Are you your own problem? Are you holding on to biases and beliefs that are preventing you from taking things to the next level? Remember, what we do here is we don't sell trumpets. We literally help you solve the problems. And solving the problems is not selling you a trumpet. Solving the problems is doing a full assessment to understand what you can and cannot do, and understand how you are approaching the instrument, what your techniques are, and there isn't just one set of techniques. Aperture control can happen many different ways, and they all have their strengths and weaknesses. You can cling on to whichever one you want, but some are better than others, and we'll help you with all of that. We'll help you with the aperture control, range, endurance, tone quality, fundamental side of things, understanding how all of it works. We'll also help you with the mouthpiece and the trumpet, and they all go together. So the number one thing we try to do, if you walk in here and you have really your aperture control and you understand how to play all the notes on the instrument with a good tone, if you're already there, we're going to impedance match you to the mouthpiece and the trumpet. And that is so important. And these are things that every trumpet showroom should really be discussing. And if the people there don't understand those things, they should come here. I'm not going to charge you. Come here and learn what impedance matching is. I'll teach you how. If you're from a different company, I don't care where you're from, this will help the whole community. If you're Bach or Yamaha or whoever else, we really need to discuss these things. And impedance matching is one of the most valuable ways and easiest ways to improve resonance and overall just the quality of tone throughout the range of the instrument. So that's something we do. And at the end of the day, we all have these biases. Like, for instance, for many years, I've worked towards creating new products and new solutions to help the trumpet community and the brass playing community. And what I've discovered is every time I get invested in a certain process, then it's really hard to try other ones. And that's human nature. Like, for instance, I'm heavily invested in CNC equipment and software to be able to make things one at a time and design them just exactly this way or that to experiment and try all the variations. And that served me really, really well. And now we see things like metal 3D printing that's very high quality to a standard that's almost equal to CNC machining. And it's so different from what I do. So for me, opening my mind to that has been very challenging. That's my bias. It's something I hold on to because I have a whole giant shop full of all these tools. Why would I want to change to this new technology? Well, what if that new technology takes me from here to there? Well, that's why I'm embracing it, and that's why we're combining the CNC machining to the metal laser sintering. And I'm just showing you guys, I go through the same things, the exact same things. For years, I used to play lead trumpet in different bands, and I would play on this mouthpiece that was way too big for lead trumpet. But I did it because I was comfortable on the mouthpiece, and I was afraid of changing mouthpieces. And this is before I made enough improvements and enough progress, this is many years ago, in mouthpiece making myself. I wasn't a great mouthpiece maker yet, and I didn't know really how to create a great lead mouthpiece. So I just used the mouthpiece that felt comfortable for me. Years went by until eventually I created myself a mouthpiece that was very, very different and I could play a lead on. But I'll tell you what, the fear factor internally for me to go from this to that was real. I thought, what if I mess up my lead chops and I can't play anymore? That's gonna screw me all up. In the end, I still have my double high C, but now I can play it with a lot more power, a lot more punch, and in the style of a lot of lead work. And those are little things that I've had to overcome. Actually big things. They sound little on a camera, but those are huge things I had to overcome with my own personal biases. So I just want to remind you, my goal isn't to get every single person to visit my shop. It isn't to make everyone happy. It's literally, my goal is to work with the individuals and bring your performance level up as quickly and easily as possible by using all these things, by understanding how it all works, by working through the impedance matching, and of course finding the instrument that would fit you. And you may need one or two or all three of those things, and that's our process for solving and helping you get past your challenges. In reality, we get fewer than 1% of all players who even walk through the showroom door. I only build around 100 trumpets a year, so my goal isn't to sell everyone one. We have plenty of people to buy them. I would like you to come visit us and leave your biases at the door and just walk in with an open mind, ready to try new things, to challenge yourself, to go through some simple assessments and questions and try new things just to see what could work for you. Because finding what's going to improve you as a player and as a performer is it's going to require more than you just picking up a new mouthpiece or a new horn. That's really not how it should work. And I think it's really important that no matter what you're looking to solve, if you're looking to improve the technique side and the aperture control, embouchure side of things, then you don't have to do that here. You can go to a teacher. You can find, there's tens of thousands of teachers that can help you with that. And it doesn't matter, in my mind, who you go to. Just find the best, trumpet teacher you can and go work with them. And believe it or not, it doesn't have to be one of those big names you've heard on the internet, although it's great if you go to them. But there are local great trumpet players and teachers in almost every single community. We're more common than you really realize. And if you need to find a new mouthpiece, right, because you want to impedance match, you want to make that oral cavity and the instrument really work together, that mouthpiece is really going to be the key factor there, then you could go to any mouthpiece maker. There's lots of reputable makers all over the country and all over the world. So you could go to Warburton, or you could go to Pickett, or GR, or you could go to Bob Reeves. I mean, there's so many great mouthpiece makers out there. It doesn't have to be us. So everything I'm talking about applies to the whole industry. You don't have to walk through my door, but whichever door you walk through, it would be great if you guys had an open mind and you were ready to try new things. Because I guarantee you, if you go to, say, Stomvie in California and you want to check out how things are going to work, there's this really smart guy there who really understands it, and he's going to help you, right? And if you really want to figure out mouthpieces and you're in Florida, you've got options, right? So I don't have to say everybody's names, but we all know there are people all around the country who make a living professionally fitting people for these things, and really listen to those people because they've dedicated their lives to helping you become a better player. And if you walk in there and you say, well, I know exactly what I need, it's this, and then you walk out and a week or two later you're unhappy, blame yourself, because you're the one that's getting in your own way. Trust the experts, listen to them, try new things, and they don't always know. They may say you need to try these 3 different things. Don't be offended by that. To take all the options in the world and narrow it down to 3 is pretty darn good odds. And if you have to spend $500 or $600 on mouthpieces to figure out which one is the best, spend the money, honestly. Like, it's way better than struggling for years and years. That's the funny thing about trumpet players. Most of us are so tight with our money. We're like, oh, I spent money on this and it didn't work. Well, that's just how it works. I mean, that's the reality. I've spent millions of dollars on CNC equipment, and not everything worked. There's tons of stuff that did not work properly, and I had to try different things, and that's investment in my craft. That's how it is. So really, it's so important to have an open mind. And if you're looking for an instrument, so many great instrument makers today. They're all over the world, and really, when you go to any of those places to try them out, speak with someone knowledgeable. And the only time I can say this won't work for you is if you get someone who is like a salesperson who is not knowledgeable, or your best performance isn't in their best interest, or they're just not making that a priority. You want to find the people that really want to give you the best service. And I just spent a week at the ITG. I guarantee you, every single person I met there, they're truly passionate about what they're doing. It's so much time, it takes so much time and effort and money and just pure dedication to even pack all your stuff up and show at the ITG and have all this noise and uncontrolled chaos happening, which it really shouldn't be that way. The ITG should probably revise their way of designing these rooms and how and when people get to play instruments. That's a whole nother story, but I truly believe that needs to be revised and revamped entirely. But these guys, and men and women, are devoting their lives to you. It's up to you to welcome their expertise and sometimes their criticism so they can help you become a better player. I could go on and on about this. And like I was saying about that player that traveled all the way around the world and then went home with nothing. He didn't get anything he needed. It's really unfortunate that happens. It very rarely does happen, but I've looked at it every different angle, every different way, and we've talked about here as a team. If I can't help you, it's usually because you're not willing to accept the help. But I'm here to help. So, and everyone in this industry that I know personally is here to help. That's what we do for a living. So thank you for watching. I hope that this challenges you to think outside of your paradigm and your biases and try something new and open your mind up to new things and, take it to the next level. See you next time.